It might be nice to eventually start playing acoustic guitars and be thought of as a singer and a songwriter rather than a grunge rocker, you know? Because then I might be able to take advantage of that when I'm older and sit down on a chair and play acoustic guitar like Johnny Cash or something, you know? And it won't be a big joke, but who knows?
And then they can start babysitting.
Now I remember. Yeah, that's why. Sure. I really don't care what anyone thinks about my past drug use. I can put the blame on that kind of influence, but it's a mixture of, you know, rock and roll in general, you know, the Keith Richards thing and Iggy Pop and all those other people that did drugs. I just thought it was just one of those things that you do, you know?
No, they never figured out what it was. I mean, most gastrointestinal doctors don't know anything about the stomach diseases. They just have a PhD, you know?
You know, much after the fact, after we'd already been damaged to a point where it, you know, almost didn't do any good, you know?
I don't really see the need to put out more than 1 or 2 videos for each record anymore. It's basically a waste of money because everyone knows we have a record out, you know? And if we're going to sell some more records based on the next video, then those aren't people who want to listen to our album anyhow. They bought it because of that video or that song, you know?
Because I'm a hypochondriac and it just affects me. It makes me want to cut my nose
off. It's gone.
This perfume apprentice in France, I was a big heavy metal fan for years in junior high school, and I have nothing against heavy metal fans at all, you know, except for, you know, some of the, you know, for the most part, most heavy metal has always been pretty sexist, so, you know, there are a lot of areas in it that I don't agree with, but that's no reason to exclude a person from, you know, having the opportunity to listen to your music.
They get paid a lot of money for pretending and prescribing you different drugs, and it's a total scam as far as I'm concerned, because I've been going to doctors for 6 years, and I've tried every drug available.
This walk of death where he goes into the rural areas where there's, you know, woods all over the place in the small villages, and he only travels by night, and he just, every time he smells human, like a fire from a far off way, you know, he'll just get really disgusted and hide.
It's just, I don't know, it's a really detailed medium. It's just, there's so much to it, you know, and it's so fragile, you know, you could really screw it up.
Well, I've read Perfume by Patrick Susskind about 10 times in my life, and I can't stop reading it. It's like something that's just stationary in my pocket all the time. It just doesn't leave me, and every time I'm bored, like I'm on an airplane or something, I read it over and over again.
Yeah. I finally have been prescribed the right stomach medicine after 6 years of being in constant pain. Finally, I haven't had a stomach problem for like over a year now.
You know, so I just don't want to try. I've always lied about it because I didn't want to influence anybody, you know. I didn't want anyone to even consider the thought of doing drugs because it's really stupid.
Oh, definitely. It's mind-boggling.
I mean, there's a little bit of my life, personal things in it, but for the most part, it's very unpersonal, you know, impersonal.
But I can't fix it, you know. I don't have anything to fix it, but, you know, there's just a variety of ulcer medicines that can slow down ulcers, you know.
There's nothing more embarrassing than a group of people walking up to you and shaking and clamoring and you know, and praising you like you're some kind of fucking god or something. It's embarrassing.
And, you know, I just want to sell albums to people who really like us and who already know about us and already like us, you know.
It's total unnecessary, and we have to spend a lot of money just to protect ourselves all the time, and it's just stupid.
I just don't want to bother with it right now.
So many people would be expecting me to talk about, to be writing about the last 2 years and our past experiences with, you know, drugs and having a new child and all the press coming down on us and stuff like that. I decided to just use experiences from books and other stories instead of even dealing with my life.
Except for this one last one that's brand new, and it finally worked. And it can't be, what do you call that? I mean,
He just tries to stay away from people. I can relate to that.
I've been on tour, and I haven't been thinking of anything other than just concentrating on touring.
So
I'm open for relieving myself of any kind of songwriting. You know, I'd be great if Krist and Dave could write more songs.
I think the general consensus was that the album may not sell as much, and so they were concerned with that, you know. But
it's like, I couldn't be happier right now.
It was 9 o'clock in the morning and I was hungover, so I don't know what I said. I don't even remember.
I haven't bothered to come up with any ideas lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be a surprise to a lot of people.
I don't know how Frances has affected the band, other than she amuses everybody backstage when she's on tour with us. Everyone loves to have her around. I don't know, since I haven't had a stomach problem and I've had a child and I'm married now, you know, I mean, I'm sure I'm a lot easier to deal with.
I don't know, I've just noticed that people expect more of a thematic angle with our music. You know, they always want to read into it, and before I was just using pieces of poetry and just garbage, you know, just stuff that just would spew out of me at the time. And a lot of times when I write lyrics, it's just at the last second because I'm really lazy. So, and then I find myself having to come up with explanations for it, you know, so I thought I'd, you know, prevent that this time and actually have an explanation.
You know, I'm not as grumpy as I used to be.
It's great. Krist and Dave and I, all three of us are totally excited about it. We've achieved exactly what we've been wanting to achieve for the last 2 records. This is the sound that we've had in our heads. They never, ever once put any pressure on us. They just basically told us their feelings and their thoughts of what they thought of the record. You know, most people don't like the record. You know, a lot of my friends don't even like the record.
There may be 1 or 2 lines in a song here and there that could be, you know, could be thought of as something that relates to my past life, but I swear to God, brother, it's really not that as much as it seems. You know, I've read a few reviews, and it's just people went completely overboard.
But I don't know. It was just a weird realization one day, you know, that has never been able to transfer.
So I don't know. I just think our morale is at its best right now, you know.
That's really one of the first times that I've ever used an actual story, you know, as a book, as an example of a song. To relieve the pain, but, you know, as I expected, before I started doing heroin, I realized that I knew at the beginning that it would become just as boring as marijuana does, you know. Like all drugs, after a few months, it's just as boring as, you know, breathing air. Wow, I have to, you know, and I can see how, like, rock and roll stars will all of a sudden, will almost compromise their music to make sure that they sell the same amount of records next year because they've spent all their money on lawyers and protecting themselves last year.
It's just, everyone just gets along. I mean, we've always gotten along. We've never really fought. I don't think we've ever gotten into a shouting argument with one another. You know, we're pretty passive aggressive, but now there are no bad thoughts about one another behind each other's backs at all. You know. At the turn of the century, and he is just disgusted basically with all humans, and he just can't get away from humans, so he goes on this trek, this walk of death.